Good morning, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in to the channel. Really appreciate you being here. Today's video is going to be our last video on the TDCJ Academy. We're going to talk about graduation, talk about the days leading up to it, and if I got enough time for this one, we'll talk about getting to the first unit. I don't like to keep the videos too terribly long. I don't have all the animations and everything to keep it interesting. It's just me talking to you guys, but I'm working on getting better, so stand by for that. The last week, week 5, there wasn't a whole lot of curriculum classes at that point. If there were, none of them really come to mind. Week 5 was predominantly leading up to graduation, which took place on Friday. I want to say the first 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, were more about defensive tactics and covering more topics on handcuffing procedures, different ways to handcuff offenders, standing, kneeling, prone, meaning they're laying down, cuffing in the front, cuffing in the back, how to remove the handcuffs using the black box, which is a box that goes in between where the chain is so they can't manipulate their hands, and a strap that you could hold onto. It's basically a leather belt, so if the offender tried to pull away and run, you had something to hold onto. So we covered these in pretty great detail. A lot of the time was spent with the instructors telling basically their war stories from the unit. We couldn't cut the days any shorter, even though there weren't any really official classes. The state mandates that you have X number of hours totaling up to X number of days in pre-service training. Now, how that's spent, that's up to the academy. So they would answer questions that we had about units, tell war stories that they had been exposed to at their units. They couldn't speak much on the negative aspects. They had to really watch personal opinions that they had. There is a lot of negativity in TDCJ, in working in any kind of a prison in general, because of the environment that you're in and that you're exposed to. What they tried to avoid was the bashing stories and bad stories and harping on the negativity, because you don't want to scare off your new batch of recruits who are ready to take the reins and jump headfirst into the new job. TDCJ needs its cadets to graduate. It needs corrections officers. That's the job of the instructors. So, like I say, they had to be careful with the stories that they had. The other thing that we had, a wide variety of different employees and COs came to visit us as well. Kind of quasi-recruiters. We got visited by a major who was over the trucking division. TDCJ employs a lot of truck drivers. Usually they're Class B, Class A operators. They drive buses that transport offenders from one unit to the next. Like we talked about, the holiday unit. This is where guys get in. I say guys because it's an all-male facility. They get there, they get their classification, whatever unit they're going to, they get loaded up on the bus. These employees drive them there. Others, they drive tractor trailers with Class A licenses. These are the ones that deliver shipments to each penitentiary. Food, products, commissary items. Everything is done as much in-house with TDCJ to cut down on cost. For instance, they don't want a contract with Cisco, so to speak. They don't want the Cisco truck coming in. They would prefer it to be a corrections officer in one of their own vehicles with products that they had made themselves at a centralized location to cut down on cost. And it improves the job retention and the job variety with TDCJ employees. There's so much more you can do besides just being a corrections officer, and this is one of the jobs. We got visited by a couple of different maintenance supervisors. There are civilians that have commensurate experience in the civilian world in plumbing, HVAC, locksmithing, painting, carpentry. These individuals hire on as civilian employees and while they don't do the work themselves, they supervise inmates that also have experience in this. They basically, what I saw was them pushing a cart around full of tools. The maintenance supervisor was the one that had access to the cart. Once they got to whatever job site they were doing, the maintenance supervisor would open the cart. Inmates would perform the job under the supervision of this individual, and they'd move on from there. That's another job that you can look into within TDCJ. We also got visited by Human Resources one last time. This was to finalize the sign-on bonus. I'm sorry, I hate even saying it. This was to finalize the sign-on bonus for those that elected it. They left out in groups, signed on for it, completed the terms of it. I don't know what it was, because when I say I don't know what it was, I don't mean I know the process. I mean, I don't know what kind of paperwork it was, because I didn't take the bonus. So they signed that. I'm assuming this gets filed with the rest of their basic paperwork, probably with your benefits paperwork, and that went from there. We also finalized what units we were going to be assigned to. If you go all the way back to my first video, I talked about when you first hired on and you meet with a recruiter and you submit your initial paperwork, application to TDCJ, application to the state, selective service, veteran status, DD-214 if you had one. There was also a form that you filled out where you picked 3 units that you would like to be assigned to. Preferably units that are relatively close to your house. If you have to drive an hour away to get to a unit, it's going to be a very long day. We'll talk about that when I get into the working conditions and the different shifts at the different units. So these were finalized. Once Wednesday started, Wednesday was us getting the building ready for graduation. One of the attractions in Huntsville is the Texas Prison Museum. It has all different kinds of memorabilia from when TDCJ, called TDC at the time, Texas Department of Corrections, when it started. It has different uniforms that male and female COs wore over the years, different types of prison weapons that offenders had made that's used for not only training purposes but also entertainment. The electric chair, Old Sparky, is kept there. And there's also a walking tour of the different units that sprung up, where the names came from, histories, videos on the Texas Rodeo, which ended in 1986. These were offenders that did a rodeo. Way before my time. You can look it up online. Apparently it was quite the attraction. They also have a wide variety of souvenirs, memorabilia, things that you can buy. Keychains, coffee cups, shirts, books about the history of TDCJ. I'd highly recommend it. If you're ever traveling through Huntsville, this is definitely a stop and see location. There's an auditorium next to the building, and it's used for a lot of different ceremonies that TDCJ goes through. Fallen officers, Officer Week. I can't remember what its exact name was. It's not Officer Week, but it's one where police officers, law enforcement corrections are recognized during that week. There's a huge ceremony. TDCJ has an honor guard. They do ceremonies, ring the bell for fallen officers. It's pretty emotional if you ever get to see one. I did have the privilege of seeing one of them, and not only is it a really good ceremony, it's very emotional. This building also is used for pre-service graduation. One of the things we had to do before Wednesday, the instructors needed a head count of how many guests we were expected to bring. There was a maximum number. I don't remember what it was. I'm 100% certain that's changed since COVID, mass gatherings and everything. So I don't remember. I had 2 individuals that wanted to attend, a buddy of mine and his mother. They needed their names, where they were potentially coming from, because they were going to check these individuals to make sure that there wasn't any kind of criminal history with them. Pretty big deal there, obviously, dealing with state felony individuals. So they had collected all that and had at that point a head count. From this, we started arranging chairs. X number of chairs here, center, on the side, dignitaries around the outside. The stage had to be set up. United States flag to the left, Texas flag to the right, TDCJ flag. There were banners that needed to be hung up, a spot for the band to play music. Even with the large number of us, it took a pretty good while to get this set up. Completely off topic, one thing I did forget to mention, at week 4, we had received our first paycheck. On the first of the month, you'll get paid direct deposit after all your taxes and everything are paid. I don't remember what the exact number was. Everyone's is different because of insurance purposes. If you were a CO3 because you had military experience at the time, all of it was different. A lot of individuals, after they took that first paycheck, quit. We never saw them again. I'd say there was at least a good 15 to 20 individuals who quit after getting that first paycheck. I don't know what their individual reasons were. You will see that happen. Once we had everything set up for graduation, that was basically Wednesday and Thursday. We were at the auditorium all day getting that arranged and organized and set up. We cleaned the facility. Spent a lot of time there. Friday morning, graduation. Spent all night, Thursday night, getting ourselves prepped and ready. Your best uniform, get it ironed out, pressed, starched, boots shined, make sure your hair looks good. It doesn't have to be military style at all, but it does need to be trimmed, neat, not any kind of outlandish stylings, no letters or initials cut into it, no part up in the top, something presentable. You also needed to be fresh shaved every day, mustache neatly trimmed. If you had one, couldn't touch the top of the nose, bottom of the mouth, extend past the corners of the mouth. All that had to be looked sharp and looking good. And the instructors did check for this every single day. Boots, you wanted your boots nice and shined. Mine, I had them polished so brightly, it looked like a mirror. You could look at it and see your reflection in them. Still do that to this day. So we formed up outside and we were with Sergeant Norman. And at this point, we were waiting for everybody else to arrive. Guests started trickling in. The higher-ups in Texas, dignitaries. I don't remember what he's called. The director of TDCJ, a couple of different wardens. Some individuals, if they were assigned to the local units, their FTOs would be there to welcome them, pull them aside. Mine wasn't because I was nearly 2.5 hours away. So we were outside and Sergeant Norman's giving us war stories, things to expect, stay positive, job's going to start on Monday. We all filed in, started meeting with our guests, meet and greet, handshakes, hugs, kisses, hello, thanks for being here. This is my buddy John, here's his mom, all that kind of stuff that goes on at graduation ceremonies. We took our seats, a couple of different higher-ups got up and said some speeches, some welcomings, some motivational speeches, and then they called us each individually, alphabetically, by name. We marched up to the stage, told our name, rank, and what unit we were going to be assigned to, shake hands with the individuals, get your graduation certificate, go back and take your seat. At the end of that, we were all dismissed. We said bye to all the instructors, said bye to all the friends and family members. We had Saturday and Sunday off, and from that point, it was time to report to the unit. There were 5 of us reporting to the Styles unit. I don't remember their names. I don't have contact with any of them nowadays. That's not uncommon. I think I'm having a lot of memory returns as I talk about this. I want to say it was on Monday and Tuesday that we had all made contact with our FTO. I wish I could remember her name. I remember her face. I remember the tone of her voice. She was a good FTO. She was a good corrections officer. I just can't remember her name. Maybe it'll come to me. Anyway, we had made contact with her, and she gave us a brief rundown of what to bring with us to the unit. Basically nothing, just ourselves in our uniforms, where to meet, and to wait for her. I think that was sometime around Monday or Tuesday. Keep in mind, when you're going through the academy, you don't have your cell phone in your pocket. You don't have your wallet in your pocket. You have no cash. Monetary United States currency has no value whatsoever in TDCJ facilities. You don't use cash for anything. So you basically went in with your ID card, and that was it. I say in, meaning the academy building. So all that stayed in your vehicle. So it would have been at some point on a break that we had made contact with the FTO, and then gathered all of us together and we spoke to her on speakerphone. So we know what to expect come Monday. Saturday and Sunday, we had our time off, get the uniforms ready. Monday morning, report to the styles. I'm going to go ahead and close here. Next video is going to be an intro to getting to the first unit, meeting with the FTO, meeting with human resources again, and how the first week at the styles unit went. I really appreciate everyone checking out this video. Hope you enjoyed the content. If you did enjoy the content, please leave a comment. Let me know what you liked. Let me know what you didn't like. I'll see everyone in the next video. Take care.